Welcome back to our new series celebrating the full release of Captain of Industry. We're playing on a very cool looking map, Insula Mortis, also a big map with a lot of challenges. Follow this series to learn how to master the game or just enjoy this fun ride. Let's dive in and welcome to episode 13. In the last episode, we really increased our production. We have a new production hub over here, right? We have the iron, steel and copper all going into a new bus. So this is really going well and will increase our potential for growth in the future. Similarly, now that we've used all of the crude oil from this island, we're starting to get it from the map with an ultimate diesel production. So in this episode, we're going to build this one a bit further, but also delete the old ones, right? We're going to delete all of this over here. We're going to delete this electricity production because now we have electricity as a byproduct. I'm also going to, by the way, improve it slightly versus what I said in the last episode. So I'll explain why and how. But most importantly, with all of this, we can turn our attention a bit more to our population. And the first thing I want to do with our population is to look at our health. I want to improve the health of our city. Right now, our health is slightly positive. You can see we have plus 28, but minus 21, so we're at plus 7. But as soon as we get a disease, which, randomly happen every so often, and in particular, I think happen more often because we have a lot of pollution, then my health is in negative, and then I start losing a lot of people. So we want to fix that by doing two things. One, we're going to create an hospital, and second, we're going to try to reduce this pollution as much as possible. Right now we have three types of pollution and we're going to try to tackle all three. We have landfill pollution, which is because all of the waste that we're creating in our city, we're just dumping it on our soil. For example, over here you can see there's tons. I know that after many years, this one may not create pollution anymore, but we continue to do it on other places, like I think recently we did it over here and others, right? So this is creating the landfill pollution. Then we have the air pollution. This is a big one, as you can see, minus 10, and it comes from many places. I'll show you in a second. But we also have the water pollution, and that one is also minus 8, but it's actually the easiest one to solve, so we're definitely going to do that one. Okay, so as always, let's jump slightly into the future and see the difference. And here it is, the island has changed again as always. We've made quite a bit of progress, so let me show you. Before we dive into the really big new things, I did want you to highlight that slowly but surely the copper mine over here is getting empty. I mean, we still have quite a bit. If you look underground, there is still quite a bit. But yeah, we are at level 6 pretty much everywhere over here, and now I'm starting to dig even further. Similarly for our coal mine, you can see I've expanded the outer wall quite a bit, and we've started to dig even more. We have this level over here. This is at minus 2 or 3. Yeah, minus 2. And the minus 6 is starting to increase also on that corner. And then slowly but surely, I'm also destroying this whole mountain there to get it more at the same level as everything else. We've also continued to dig over here. We're getting to a new sea, so we're gonna have to dump. But right now, I wasn't dumping over here. I was actually dumping over here. You can see this is not actually finished. I want to continue dumping over there. But yeah, we've made quite a bit progress. I mean, all of this is new soil. This used to be the sea. All of this too, it used to end basically over there. This was the end before. Now we've taken quite a bit more. We'll discuss later in the episode what I'm gonna do over here. But yeah, so first of all, quite a bit of terraforming. And then as promised, I destroyed the all electricity over here and the diesel production that used to be there, but it's already been replaced by something else. And because of this, we've also built this one a lot more. I haven't built every single building. As you can see, for example, electricity, we only have half because that's enough for now. I didn't build the last of these ones over here, over there. So there's still a couple that we haven't built. But it's just mostly because I didn't want, to have people working there. It's not really needed yet. I also made some very small changes. Let me show you. In particular, we used to have a balancer over here with a burner. And the priority used to be first you go this side, and then if you're full this side, then you go up. But the problem is I had my storage that was this side. So I was storing before using, the sulfur, and in particular before sending sulfur to the rubber. And the rubber is critical because you need rubber for electronics and you need electronics for maintenance. So now I've changed that where the priority is actually this one, and that's why you can see it is completely full. So this is priority 1. And then the second priority is to go this side for, the mixers over here for fertilizer 2, as well as for the acid to get full. So this is priority 2, and this is definitely a lower priority because I can survive without acid. I can survive without fertilizer level 2. Then if it's full, it gets over here where there's another balancer, and then first it goes this side. I want to make sure that we have a big storage that's full, so we always have sulfur, but then if that's full again, it should go this side. That is what is happening now. So small change to make sure that basically the rubber is always full. I have also upgraded the oil rig from level 4 to level 6, but to be honest, right now I'm still at level 4 and we are good. We don't really need more, because more will need more people and more unity. So for now, all good. But to be ready for the future, I upgraded it, and we can also in the future do the next one to get to level 8. Because level 8 is what you need to run all 4 all the time. The reality again is I don't need to run all 4. I don't even need to run all 3 all the time. I have good reserves of diesel, as you can see. So yes, the ultimate diesel production is working really well, is providing me electricity, all good there. By the way, I also moved the paper production that used to be over here. We moved it there. This is a production that requires just a bit of steam, so you can't put it anywhere in the map. But over here, obviously, we have a lot of steam, so it was easy to put it there. From the old electricity production, I still kept for now those basic distillers because they are creating the water that's needed for my bricks. Right, to make the bricks, we need water. In the future, we can also take this out or make it a better water production. But for now, it is still there. And similarly, next to the old diesel production, we had this small water factory there, again, with basic distillers. I also left it for now because I do need water in general, you know, in particular for my farms. So this is over here. But again, in the future, we can improve that. So let's talk right away about this new factory over here. This is a factory to make medical supplies level 1. And how many? This is actually enough to make 48. You know, we have 2 of those assemblies. One is paused right now because I don't really need 48, but we could make 48 with this. Everything is ready for 48. Of course, as always, if you join my Discord community, and to join, you can find the link in the video description below. You can get for free this blueprint. So as always, let's start by the end. We have this unit storage taking all of our medical supply that are being created by those 2 assembly electrics. Those 2 assembly electric level 2 will take 2 inputs, the medical equipment and the disinfectants. It's 2 new ones, you can see them over here. One is at level 0, one is at level 1. For both of these, I actually have also an intermediary storage. It's not technically needed, but I think it's always good to have a bit of this buffer. We have on top over here the medical equipment. So that's what's coming at level 0 over here, right? And on the other side, we have the disinfectant. That's what's coming at level 1. Let's follow the disinfectants coming from this side, right? We have 2 of these chemical plants. One is paused because again, we're only doing half of the production right now. It is taking ethanol and plastic, and obviously it's taking it from the other side, right? So turning around, we can see the plastic that's coming over there at level 0, right? And at level 2, we have the ethanol. The plastic is actually coming from this storage over here. We started making this plastic just over there, so it's not actually that far. I could have a belt and then a bridge, but I felt it was fine. You know, my trucks are very stable. We have quite a few trucks not doing anything, even if I have tons of trucks assigned to mining. So all good there. You know, this is one of the input needed in this blueprint, the plastic at level 0. Then the ethanol, as we said, is level 2. It's coming from this new building, the fermentation tank. Again, one of them is paused because we're doing half of the production. This is taking corn mash and oxygen to make the ethanol and the carbon dioxide. It's only 9 carbon dioxide, so we're sending it into the atmosphere. It does create some pollution, so that's not great, but right now we don't really have a choice. And then in terms of input is the oxygen and the corn mash. For oxygen, it's only 12, so both of these, you know, is 24. So one of these air separator is enough. That's what you see over here, right? We have the oxygen coming at level 1, going into both of these. And then the nitrogen, we're just sending into the atmosphere. This doesn't even create pollution, so that's not a problem. And then it requires corn mash. The corn mash is coming from those 2 meal, where we're taking the corn plus a bit of water to make this corn mash and animal feed. So we have, you know, the corn and the water coming from this side. And in terms of output, obviously we're creating the corn mash first, that's going over here. And at level 0, we have the animal feed. I'm sending then the animal feed into a mixer to transform it into compost, because then the compost can be dropped anywhere onto the map. You know, it's like soil basically. So we have this empty so that the trucks come from time to time, empties it, and then this can continue going. So as we said, it requires water and corn. The water is coming from this water plant there, or it could come if you want it from, you know, just a storage, right? But in this case, we have a water plant, so that's easy. And then we have the corn that is coming from this one greenhouse. Our first greenhouse is dedicated to this. Right now we actually have a lot of corn because I'm only running this at half the speed, but if I were to run it at full speed, then I would need, you know, this greenhouse like this, so it's perfect. Now, of course, like all farms, this greenhouse requires water. So this is also once again why I left this water production. The water is coming directly over here, will go into the water pipe. And then we also have, by the way, a fluid storage for the fertilizer. We're making tons of fertilizer over here, right? So with this fertilizer, we've moved the fertility equilibrium from 75% to 100%. So quite a bit boost in production, right? We move from 10 to almost 14. And again, this will be enough then to run all this at full speed. But remember, we still have the other one, which is the medical equipment. This one is even easier because this is just done in assemblies. You do need more because this is only 6, right? So if I want to run the whole thing, I'm gonna need 4. Right now we have 2 that are working, and it takes the plastic once again, which is why we have the plastic over here at level 0, and then it takes the steel, which is what's coming at level 1 there. So simple, compact and efficient production to make medical equipment level 1. Or medical supplies, sorry. But then those medical supplies, of course, need to be delivered to a city. So this is why we have this hospital over here, right? Which will give those medical equipments to my people. This will provide a lot of things. This will provide a boost in unity. This will provide a boost in health. And this will also reduce the mortality when there is an illness. So for example, let's say that we have a disease that has a mortality of 2%, meaning 2% of my population is going to die every month. Now, by providing those medical supplies, this mortality is going to go down from 2% to 1.4%. So I'm going to lose a lot more people. So now, as you can see, my positive health has moved to plus 43. It has really jumped. And so with this, again, our growth is going to be positive pretty much all the time, even when we have a disease. Because also on top of this, we've reduced a lot our pollution. I'm not going to lie, there's still some pollution. As you can see, air pollution is still a bit there. But we've reduced a lot. We don't have landfill production at all anymore. We don't have water pollution anymore. And even the air one, we have decreased. By the way, you can also even see it on your statistic menu, right? If you go into pollution there, you can see it, right? That my water pollution used to increase, and then recently complete drop, and now it's at 0. Similarly for my landfill, it was always a bit high. Now it's getting to 0. So how did we do that? Let me show you. Now let's start with the easiest, the water pollution. The reason I'm saying it's easy is because there was actually only one place left where I was having water pollution. For example, in the basic distiller right at the beginning where we were transforming crude oil into diesel, we had some wastewater. Similarly, in the distillation stage 1, we were dumping the sour water. So all of this was water pollution, but we had already stopped. So actually the only one that was left was the wastewater from our population. Without being crass, it's all of the water that's coming from your bathroom and from your kitchen, right? All of this needs to be sent into the sea, and actually, given that we've increased the population, right now we are at 100 per minute, so it's quite a lot. But as I said, now we don't have any left, right? So let me show you how. This is thanks to this layout over here. As always, you can find it on my Discord community. So what is happening over here? Well, by the way, this is not just the wastewater, this is actually also the base water, right? Because there's both an input, giving water, and output, the wastewater. And we're doing both over here. So if we start right at the beginning there, this is how we're getting our water. We have a boiler coal to transform some water and coal into steam. And this steam is sent into the thermal desalinator. This is what you've seen also for my new fuel factory. And with this, we're making a lot more water because basically just with 12 steam, I'm gonna make 78 of water versus over here, I only need 48 of water to make 48 of steam. So yes, you do need a bit of water to kickstart this whole thing, but as soon as you've kickstarted, for example, with a truck, right? You can just have a truck deliver. As soon as you've done this, you're good, you're going to produce a lot of water. You're also producing a bit of brine. I already have way too much brine. I don't know what to do with it. So we're just dropping it over here into the ocean. But this has no pollution, so that's not a problem. So anyway, this is what's happening over here, right? We're sending the water. The water goes first into the boiler to make sure that this whole virtuous circle continues, but then everything else can go this side, right? Go this side, then it's a bit hidden over here, but basically there is another pipe balancer. You may see it over there, right? But the pipe we are just looking at is this one. This is actually the only one that's not prioritized. 3 other inputs of water that are prioritized because these are sort of byproduct water, so we need to make sure that those byproducts are used before we use anything from the sea. And then there's only one output, which is actually our first pipe level 3. This can transport 450 per minute, so I know it's a lot, but as you can see, we're already above the 120, so soon we'll be above 200, and I didn't want to have multiple pipes, so I said, let's just build a big one. We have a bit of a storage, just in case. This way we can also put an alert, right? Tell me when it's low, and then it just goes into the water facility. And then on the other side, the water facility will eject the wastewater. I've put 2 red ones. This is definitely not needed. It's a bit overkill, but I felt it looked good to have red on both sides. The reason I put a pipe balancer over here is that if anything like this doesn't work, you may want to actually have another output that shouldn't be prioritized. The priority should be obviously in the wastewater treatment, but you may want to have another one to just dump into the sea. I was actually pretty confident that my thing would never get full, so I didn't put one, but if you want, you can use it. More importantly, as I said, you know, the wastewater will go into actual wastewater treatment. I have put 2 because you can see that this one is 160, all right? Right now I am at 100, but I am planning to double my city. The size of my city, I'm planning to double it. So that means I'm gonna go to 200, right? And 200, this will be more than one, which is why I have a second one for the future. This is going to take the wastewater, a bit of sand, and a bit of chlorine. This is what's coming from the other side. You can see over here, chlorine and sand. This is brought by a couple of trucks once in a while because we're really not using a lot, as you can see. And then with this, instead of creating pollution, we're going to create water, which is great because we need water, right? And that's why this is one of the prioritized input for my water. So what it means is that actually instead of needing 120 per minute, I actually don't need that, because half of this is going to be transformed into water. So basically with this, I'm gonna get 50 of water for free, and therefore the actual real need is only 70. Or if you wish, from here, I'm only needing 70, which is why 1 is totally fine. I have a second just in case, but definitely don't need the third right away. And then the second thing is some sludge. Then I send the sludge over here into those digesters to make some fuel gas and compost. Because with the sludge, you cannot really do much, you know, you can either burn it, but then that's more air pollution, and we're trying to reduce our pollution, or you can create something useful, which is fuel gas and compost. As always, the compost is just going to be dumped by a truck somewhere, but the fuel gas, we're actually going to do something with it. We're going to do 2 things, which is why there's a pipe balancer. The priority is actually, as you can see, on this pipe there. But before I show you what we're gonna do actually with this gas, when this is full, then we send it into this cracking unit, which is taking fuel gas and oxygen. Oxygen is easy, right? Just an air separator. Those take 6 people and a bit of electricity, but that's not the end of the world. And with this, we're gonna create a bit more water. So once again, it goes back into, you know, the priority over here, and some diesel. And so I have all over here in truck station. So trucks that are coming over here, for example, trucks that are delivering the sand or trucks that are taking, you know, this compost, they can get some fuel while they are here. But more importantly, as I said, we're gonna do something else with the fuel. You'll see it in a second. This is actually everything needed for this wastewater. You can see it's not the most complex one. We'll get a more advanced one also later, but for now, this is pretty good. I mean, we're getting water for free just in exchange of very little of sand and very little of chlorine. And the chlorine, remember, is very easy to make. We're making it in a fuel factory over here, right? Just one electrolyzer like this, making 24 chlorine out of the brine that we have for free anyway. So yeah, I mean, the water, again, this is probably the easiest one, as long as you make sure that it doesn't stop. Next to it, we have the second type of pollution, which is from my waste, you know, the landfill pollution. Again, I will post on my Discord community the full blueprint for this, but it is a pretty simple one. So what is happening? I mean, we have the waste creating in our waste collection, then it's sent directly over here into a storage. Again, the storage is more as a buffer to be able to put an alert, right? Tell me when it's almost full, for example. And then it will go into this incineration plant. I have put 2, to be honest, right now we all, again, don't need 2. 1 is totally enough, but it's good to be ready for the future and you don't have to build it. So what is going to happen over here? We're going to take the waste and then either fuel gas or hydrogen plus a bit of water to make some exhaust and steam. So this is definitely not perfect, in particular because we're trading one pollution for another. So if you're really interested in minimizing the pollution, we're gonna need to also do something with this exhaust. But at least with this, we are doing something with the waste. And with this, I'm also actually using the fuel gas that we've been creating over here in our digester, right? So it worked quite well. This is, I mean, what I mentioned earlier, this pipe over there is going into the storage of fuel gas. And this is the fuel gas over here goes there into this balancer. This is what prioritize. I want to make sure that first we use this, and then just if this is empty, if we don't have enough of fuel gas, which probably should never happen, but just in case, we're gonna use the hydrogen. The hydrogen coming from over here, where we're gonna make the hydrogen through the electrolyzer, which is transforming water into oxygen plus hydrogen. So we're already making a lot of water over there, right? That was easy to bring a bit of water to make this hydrogen. But this is just a backup, right? This is just a backup in case we don't have fuel. Otherwise, this will just use the fuel to create steam and exhaust. You could use the steam, but to be honest, right now, I'm not doing anything with it. I'm just sending it into the atmosphere. The important thing is the exhaust. So the exhaust, we're gonna send into this new building, the exhaust scrubber. And so now we get into the air pollution. And this one is the hardest for two reasons. The first one is we actually have exhaust pretty much everywhere, you know? There's so many production that have exhaust, and so to have an exhaust scrubber on each of them is definitely a nightmare. The second reason why it's definitely the hardest, you know, to get to zero is because if you look over here, we are taking the exhaust and a bit of water, so again, that's easy, we're making water, but it's not perfect. We are making still some air pollution through this, right? Because if you look over here, right, 60 of exhaust is 30 of air pollution. Over here, we're taking 180, so that's already a lot more, but it's only 24 of pollution. So we're gaining there, that's for sure. But what I meant is, this is not zero, right? There is still some air pollution. And on top of this, you're making carbon dioxide. And for now, it's actually very hard to take care of the carbon dioxide. The easiest way is also to send it into the atmosphere. Once again, it is a lower air pollution than just the exhaust, but it's still some air pollution, it's not zero. The good thing is that in the future, we will get some ways to actually take care of the carbon dioxide in a way more, let's say, productive way without pollution. So at that point, we can really decrease a lot more again air pollution. But yeah, basically, as I said, you know, taking the exhaust and a bit of water to make some sulfur, carbon dioxide, and steam. So all of this, you know, I'm not really doing anything with it, but it's more to reduce my air pollution at this point. Now, as I mentioned though, we do have a lot of exhaust in many places. For example, over here, you know, I have many boilers, they all have exhaust. Even this polymerization plant over there also has exhaust. But the huge one is my basic production over here, right, of iron, steel, and copper. If you look at the blast furnace level 2, for example, every time we try to make a bit of molten something, we have some exhaust. But even on the oxygen furnace over here, we have exhaust. So for this, we have started to make some exhaust scrubber. This is what you can see over here. Instead of putting one of these exhaust scrubber next to, you know, each blast furnace or next to a couple of blast furnace, I'm basically sending all of the exhaust to this and then doing everything on site over here. So let me show you some of those small points. So for example, over here, we have a completely new belt, right? This is taking all of the exhaust from all of these blast furnaces. This is what you can see over here and there. It's all going this way under the bridge and going there. Similarly, over here, we have this one there that's taking some exhaust. And lastly, on this side, you know, you can see the same over here, this pipe, bringing some exhaust all the way into this. Now there is so much exhaust that once again I started to use those pipe level 3 because it's a lot more than 200. I mean, each of these buildings is 180 and I have 4 of those buildings, even if 2 are paused right now. But yeah, with this we're gonna do the same of exhaust plus water. The water is coming from these reservoirs over here, right? And we're gonna make the sulfur, carbon dioxide, and the steam low. Now the carbon dioxide at this point, once again, we're just sending into the atmosphere. So that's not so great. On the other hand, for the steam, we are doing something with it. This is what you can see at level 0 over here. It's going onto those cooling towers to make me some water. So you can see that we're using 24 to make 24 steam low, not steam high, steam low. So this is this one over here, meaning we're gonna get 12. So basically half of the water needed is we're getting for free. And then last but not least, you know, some sulfur that can be used for something else. And if this is full, then I'm burning it, which is again going to create some air pollution. So that's a fourth blueprint for this episode that you can find on my Discord community. And yeah, as I said, I think that's great progress. We have really decreased now our negative pollution. We're really lower, so we're gonna get a lot less disease. And even when we get a disease, they're going to be a lot less impactful because we have also the healthcare that is increasing my positive health, but also reducing the mortality rate of any of those diseases. So I think that was indeed a really good thing to improve how my citizens are living on the island. And by the way, as I said, we have continued to increase the population. Now we have 8 of those blocks around my decoration, which are all level 3. So we're talking about almost 2,000 of population now. With this, I do have a bit of a reserve of workers, but it does mean we need to feed more people, right? The more people you had, the more food we need. And this is why I've started to build this whole new thing over here that I told you it's not completely finished, right? We're not there yet, but almost, because this is gonna be my new food neighborhood. And the goal is really to give all types of food. We're gonna give all 11 types of food. This is a beautiful line of 11 markets, each one dedicated, to one resource, as you can see over here. We actually haven't unlocked all of them yet. There is one that we haven't unlocked yet, which is why this is empty. If we go back into our research over here, I will show you in a second over here, which is actually the sausage. We haven't unlocked the sausage yet. And by the way, also we haven't unlocked the sugar cane yet, which means that while we have unlocked the cake, we're actually not able to make it because we don't have sugar. But yes, spoiler alert, in the next episode, the goal is for me to show you a perfect food factory that's going to take into account all of the type of food in quite a small space. So I hope you're excited with this. Don't hesitate to share in the comments below if you have any questions, thoughts, or requests for future videos. I hope to see you next time.